Hey there, AJ Beaver here. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's Thursday Night Thought. Tonight we're going to talk about what it means to choose wisely, because maybe you're sitting there right now with opportunities, ideas, different choices laid out in front of you, and you want to make a decision and move forward. This message is for you, and the message is this: choices can feel like chains, yet do not allow new choices to be made based on perceived slavery. Choose wisely, thus not seeking to understand, validate, or prove their earthly merit, rather to demonstrate your heavenly commitment and trust that you are free. Isn't this a powerful message? So this idea that choices can feel like chains, either because you don't want to make a choice because you think it's going to put you in some type of slavery or chain you, or it also brings in this idea that if there's any choices that you've made in the past that you deemed was wrong, or choices that were holding you back, that those aren't to have an influence on the choices that are in front of you today. The choices that are in front of you today are new, and they're not to be made based on this idea around perceived slavery, right? So how do we make wise choices? Well, my family and I are here in Orlando on vacation, and we happen to be watching a movie, which was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And there's this iconic moment in the movie where Indiana Jones and his enemy are standing in a room with the keeper of the Holy Grail. And they're both on a mission to find the Holy Grail with different intentions, right? And the keeper of the Holy Grail says, you must choose. So there's all of these different grails on a table, but choose wisely. So the first one to step up and to make a choice is the enemy. And what does he do? Well, he happens to have a woman who's with him, and he looks at her and he says, you're the doctor. You're the one who studied all the history of the Grail. It's been your life pursuit to find the Grail. Why don't you make the decision for me? Well, first lesson is never let someone else make a decision for you, because in truth, she wasn't the one who had to reap the consequences, right? He was. So what does he do? She chooses the Grail for him. He looks at the Grail and he's like, oh yes, this has to be the Grail. It's gold and ornate, and this has to be the Grail because I desire immortality and I want to be a god. And it's all about this earthly merit. It's all about this pride of why he wanted the Holy Grail, and she chose the one for him. He drinks of it. But remember what also the Templar said, the keeper of the Grail. He said, the Grail will give you life, but if you choose incorrectly, it will take life from you. So what happens? He ends up passing away as dust, and the Templar looks at everybody and says, he chose poorly. So next, Indiana Jones gets up and he's looking at the merit of choices, and he thinks to himself, okay, if Jesus were to construct this Holy Grail, what would it be like? Well, Jesus was a carpenter, so which one of these grails isn't gold and ornate and looks like a carpenter would have created it? And that's the one he chooses. He drinks from it, and the Templar says, you chose wisely. Now remember, his intention was to take that cup because his father was dying and was wounded. And so what does he do? He takes the cup, he goes to his father, he pours the water onto the wound, which miraculously heals. And it's this moment of knowing that he'd found the Holy Grail. But the purpose was for a more heavenly connection, not an earthly merit. I think this movie had a lot to teach us, right? But I also believe that you have something to share. If you're someone who has made wise choices or deemed choices in your life as wise, can you please, in the comments below, share your story, share your suggestions? You can help somebody else in making choices this week. And that's what I believe these Thursday Night Thoughts are really about, is to expand the consciousness. And the more of us who talk about these thoughts or give suggestions or ideas, the greater this consciousness, right? So if this has been helpful for you, I pray that you share it with somebody you love. Otherwise, I look forward to sharing our next Thursday Night Thought.